if you're not at the table, you're on the table, and you know, for dinner, somebody's going to eat you. I have a firm belief that the deeper we can embed ourselves into our local community, the better. And thank you, Emily. I just clicked the record button. That's the people out there keeping me straight this morning. But I think we should, as an association, actively seek people like Darlene Spivey. Now, I've talked a little bit about her, but we have people from all over here. Darlene Spivey is the executive officer of the Neuse River Association of Realtors and the Washington Beaufort Association of Realtors in Eastern North Carolina. She's also a town mayor at the same time. So she brings her expertise in real estate to government and teaches them what they need to know about what we do in the real estate industry. But think about this. Should your education committee be doing presentations to your local city council? Should they be monitoring what your local city council is doing, the planning board? Should we meet on a regular basis and have that conversation? Absolutely. And that takes people willing to volunteer. So this segment is all about why you should be in leadership. Let's see, I believe our Realtor Association should share much of this information today with the local realtors. We're going to record it. We'll post it for you. We'll send you the recordings. Y'all can post it. Yes, we need to get this information out. Darlene, y'all have 3 mayors from your local Neuse River Regional Association of Realtors? Are you kidding me? Do you know what I would do if we could get a realtor to be our local mayor? I would dance a jig all over town. 3. So New Bern, Trenton, and Trent Woods, all 3 of those townships have a realtor as mayor. See, you can't mess with good. That's someone, Darlene, running a great realtor association, recruiting great leaders. That's powerful stuff. So now when you have a problem with the city council, you just call the mayor and go, hey, y'all are getting ready to do, well, the realtor will stop that before it gets there. I have a saying, just because they're elected does not mean they know. I mean, think about it. We all have an expertise. Our expertise is real estate, but most people don't. That's cool. Darlene, I'm jealous. I want to find out how you did that. Margaret says we can offer mixers and training with home builders on the process of building a home, what's offered from different builders. Most people don't know what's behind that wall, the sticks and the bricks of how houses are built. And the builders industry absolutely needs to be in this conversation with us. Now you're thinking like leaders. Let me share a little bit of information with you on your job as a leader. And let's talk about why you should be in leadership. Remember to adjust your screen so you got about 50-50 opportunity there. Why should you be in leadership? Because we need you. We need your expertise. The people who run your local realtor association, the staff, are not necessarily people who have experience in the field selling houses. So the key to a great realtor association, the key to making your association better is you. And if you're sitting out there going, well, I'm too young, or I'm too old, or I hadn't been in the business long enough, or I've been in the business too long, none of that applies. We need your expertise. If you're brand new in the real estate industry, we need to know what messes you up as a brand new agent. We need to know if you've been around 10 years and you're a top producing agent, we need to know what help we can provide for you. And those two things may not be the same thing. I mean, a class for new agents may not be the same information that we would work with a 10-year agent. So I guess what I'm doing here is extending you an invitation. If you're within the sound of my voice, come and get involved in your local realtor association. We need you because we don't know what you do every single day and how we could help you do it better, quicker, faster. That's our job. So being a leader starts with self-leadership. It's where you develop your skills and you develop yourself. Before you can lead others, you have to be able to lead yourself. And getting involved in committees, I know it takes time, and the pay isn't really good. We don't pay people to come to committees. But the truth is, it develops you. And just like this morning, those of you who have shown up this morning to get all this information, you far exceed the norm right now, because the information we shared this morning is not going to be shared with everyone. We can try, we can email it to them, but they aren't here. Self-leadership is the first key. Now, Aristotle, you remember ancient Greece, 454 BC, he had a statement. He says, we become what we do repeatedly. Excellence, therefore, is not an act. It's a habit. Leadership is a habit. Excellence is a habit. Being a success is a habit. It is forming those things that create success. And I've written a couple of books. I'm writing one now on leaders. It's called Building Leaders. It's based on my Uncle Don, who was a home builder, and we're going to build a house and we're going to build a great organization. And what I have learned in doing the research for this book is there's almost no defining line between leadership and success. I mean, those two are interchangeable everywhere I can do research. I cannot tell the difference, because successful people are leaders and leaders are successful people. Leaders are people we want to follow. Leaders are people we want to be around. Leaders are people who we want to go down the path with. That starts with self-leadership. It starts with excellence in your personal career, in your personal life. We become what we do repeatedly. Excellence, therefore, is not an act. It's a habit. Leadership is not an act. It's a habit. We want you to get involved. Leadership today, and I think I started with this, and I'm going to come back to it several times. Leadership today in the real estate industry is a very serious business. The decisions of our leaders today in your local realtor association will have a dramatic effect on the business interests of thousands of you out there. Decisions about multiple listing, decisions about lock boxes, sign ordinances, what's going on downtown, the planning board, the public relations, how we communicate with our members. All of those decisions seem simple in themselves, but put together, your realtor association has become the driving force. Let me give you a few things that we do as an industry. Let me stop for a minute. Let me give you a few things that we do. This is the value of membership in a realtor organization that we never stop and think about. Number one, we protect your ability to do business. I mean, that's what we do. We protect home ownership rights. If it's not towards home ownership rights, we don't do it. The realtor brand, the circle, the R with the box, the realtor brand is a huge brand. We care for communities, the media outreach, technology, innovations. The National Association of Realtors does all sorts of innovation, transaction management, dental plans, vision plans, insurance, business tips. More and more and more, your realtor association is all those things. And we would like to be more if we had more input and more people willing to help. But it's up to you. So let's talk about the mechanics for a minute. So let's say we've convinced you this morning, time to get involved. A few rules about working with realtor associations. The board of directors of your local realtor association governs your association. Your board of directors governs. Your staff manages. I'm not on the board of directors. I am staff. The people outside this wall, the people in Darlene's office, they are your staff. They execute the decisions of the board of directors. They are the engine that drives the ship, but they don't steer the ship. The ship gets steered by the board of directors. So that's the ultimate job for you, is to be on the board of directors, to be, whether you call it an executive committee or the board of directors or the officers and directors, whatever your association calls it, the directors govern, the staff manages. Couple of footnotes. When you are on the board of directors, when you enter that room, you are no longer a real estate agent at your company. I don't care if you're the owner or a brand new agent, you are no longer working for your company. You are now have a fiduciary responsibility to your association. We have fiduciary responsibilities to our clients. Well, your client has become this association. In your decision making, decisions are made for what would benefit the association and all of its members, not you. Now, you can't get to me, so I can get in your face a little bit. People make decisions all the time that are in their best. This is all about me. Well, when you walk in the board of directors room, that hat has to come off. Your logo on your shirt has to come off. Now, not physically. We encourage you not to bring your logos in there. But the truth is, you represent now the best interest of your association. And sometimes you have to make decisions that go against your personal business because it's what you're there for. The staff works for your local association executive officer. They don't work for the board of directors. They work for your executive officer. So going into your local association and chewing on the staff because you didn't get something right, nah, you need to go chew on your association executive officer. They can chew on the staff. So the board of directors governs, staff manages. And we are the engine that drives the ship, but the board of directors steers it. Now, committees underneath the board of directors send their recommendations to the board. So in the education committee, let me see if I have, yeah, like we have public relations committee, education, political affairs. We've got economic development. There's building and grounds committees. I mean, there's committees for all sorts of things. And I don't know the structure of your local association, but whatever the committees are, committee structure is, you know, I'm sure you're familiar with it. We have members and then there's a chair. There may be a chair and a vice chair, so we know who will be the chair next year. But the truth is, their job is to do the work at this level to send it to the board of directors basically for approval, unless the board sees something dramatically wrong. So the education committee says, we think we should hold these courses. Here's the program. Here's how it works. They make a motion and pass it. It goes to the board of directors, and the board of directors reviews it and says, hey, if the education committee says this is great, let's do it. Unless there's a major problem. And if there's a problem, the board of directors can change your recommendation from the committee level or send it back to you to work on it some more. So let's take a look at your local committees, and I don't know what they are, and find a place for you. Because in my research for this next book, there are 9 types of intelligence. Each human has a different type of intelligence, and no one got all 9. So you have skills. I don't know what they are, but you probably do. Now, we need your skills, but we need them in the right place. So I think I have a slide. Let's see if it's not here yet. I want you to go on and jot this down because it's in my head. A leader's job is to clarify the future. Write that down. A leader's job is to clarify the future for the people you are leading. So let's think of the board of directors as the leadership role here. Leader's job is to clarify the future. The board of directors sets the strategic plan. They set the guidance for the association. They set the direction. They set the things we're going to accomplish this year. The committees, if you think of committees as management level, think about it this way. Management's job is to turn talent into performance. Oh. So a leader's job is to create a vision of the future and to communicate that vision constantly and always to the membership. That's the board's job, to communicate with the membership. Committee level work, I see it as management. And management's job is to turn talent into performance. So if you're the chair of a committee, your job is not to do all the work. Your job is to have the vision. The members do all the work because they have talents. When I speak and I'm standing in front of a room of 100 people or 200 people, I always make the statement, there's a lot more intelligence sitting down in this room than there is standing up. I'll do it here on this Zoom meeting. There's a whole lot more intelligence listening than there is talking. Because together, your collective intelligence out there is huge. The chairperson of a committee who attempts to do everything themselves, well, you're ruining the system, because the system is to gather together highly qualified people on this committee and access their talents. Your job as a committee chair is to have the vision for whatever you're the chair of, the public relations, education, political, whatever you're doing. But your true job is to turn the talent that's on your committee into performance. Some things to remember. When you walk in that room, this ain't about you. It's not your personal agenda. I run into people on committees all the time that they have this thing that they want to get fixed. Well, okay. But if you're the only person in 9 counties that wants to do that, you got to turn that loose. Here's a second. Running a meeting is a skill you need to practice. If the meeting starts at 9 o'clock, that means the meeting starts at 9 o'clock, which means you should be in the building before then and be prepared. If there are people late to your meeting, they're late. But those who show up on time, you begin. And if the meeting is over at 10, you need to close that meeting at 9 minutes and 59 seconds, or you know what I mean. It needs to close at 10 o'clock, not ramble on till 10:30 or, oh, you can finish the meeting and they can stay in the room and talk as long as they want to. But if you tell me the meeting's going to be an hour, it must be over in an hour. Those are 2 basics. If I'm volunteering my time, honor my time. And you are running the meeting. Think about it this way. The chairperson or the president is the least important person in the room. They don't get to vote usually, and their job is to keep the conversation on track. That's your only job. Just because you're the chair doesn't make you the most important person in the room. Your job is to run the meeting, get through the agenda in the time we have allotted. and to force the room back onto the topic and control the meeting. Robert's Rules of Order. And I'm sure that your association, I've got a whole folder of them here. Basic Robert's Rules of Order, you know, how to make a motion, how to second it, where it goes from there. You know, simple sheets. We've got the cheat sheet for Robert's Rules. And most meetings are fairly informal. But do you know what the number one motion is that must be dealt with? Is the motion to set the time to adjourn. That's the most powerful motion anyone can start a meeting with or make a motion of. So running a meeting falls on you, the chair, not to ramble, not to bring in your personal agenda. Third, we've talked about the volunteer roles versus staff. Staff is there as your assistants. They are a fabulous resource for you. They will have, you know, everything ready for your meeting. You just have to run it. This word should be put into your conversation as a chair or as a member of a committee. And the word is champion. One of the things that happens a lot in committee work is someone at the table introduces a grand idea. Oh my God, wouldn't it be fabulous if we could do this? And the room explodes with this fabulous idea. Woo, woo, here we go. This could be great, you know, and we're going to change the world and all that stuff. And somebody makes a motion and it's seconded and they bang the gavel. Yahoo, let's go get some coffee, and they stream out of the room. Wait a minute, time out. As the chair of that committee, if a motion is made and passed that needs work done, it's your job to find a champion. Because you see, I'll give you an example. Almost every year, our public relations committee has this conversation. Wouldn't it be great if someone would write articles and submit them to the local news media? Wouldn't it be great if someone would post things to the, you know, social media on every Monday and write up all this? And somebody should do that. Yeah, that's really great. They make a motion and pass it. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Who? Oh, I'm too busy. I don't write very well. I can't do that. No, I'm too busy. You know, I don't know how to operate in social media. I can't do that. If you don't have a champion, whatever your grand idea is should die right here and right now. Because that grand idea does not fall back on staff to do it. You with me? Especially things like writing articles for the newspaper and the social media. It's not staff's job. If there's no champion, if you're on a committee and a motion is passed that needs work to be done, there must be a champion. We have a meeting tomorrow morning. It's a big proposal. If there's no champion, that proposal should die right where it sits, because it's going to die anyway. Whatever happened to that great idea we had a few months ago? I wish somebody would do it. And now we roll back through that whole conversation. If there's no champion, we can't move forward. The bylaws of your association control what you can and cannot do. It controls all your elections and all that. And each and every person in leadership should review the bylaws. Now, let me tell you something. Reading bylaws is one of the most painful things you will ever do. Darlene, I know you review them. We have a lady here that works for us, Debbie McFadden. She's the queen of the bylaws. I go to her. But the truth is, that's what governs this association. So being familiar with the bylaws is important, because lots of times we launch off into a direction that you can't go because the bylaws won't let you. Great leaders clarify the future. Great managers turn talent into performance. Great leaders clarify the future. I'll translate that into your board of directors. It is their job to clarify the future for everyone in your association. While I'm on your board of directors, there's one spokesperson for your association. Look at me. There is one spokesperson for your association. That is your elected president, or in their absence, whoever they designate. But if you're on the board of directors and the local media calls you and asks for a quote from the association, you're not authorized to do that. You're on the board of directors. You can speak as you, an owner of a real estate company or an agent out there, but you can't speak on behalf of the association. President is the only person authorized to do that. That's why they're the president. Now, I work a deal with my president every year. I tell the president, look, if the news media calls, they're going to call me first. I'll give them all the background information and tell them, please don't quote me. And then I'll give them your number and say, call the president, and they'll give you a quote. And then before they can get to you, I'll brief you on what's been discussed and what their program is, and we can craft a quote to the media together. Great leaders clarify the future. Great managers, this would be your committee work, your committee chairs. Your job is to find the talent on your committee. Oh my goodness. And put them to work turning that talent into performance. So I need to take a break because I could feel you chatting out there without me, and I need to check on how we're feeling at this point, because I've been in your face a little bit. Somebody asked, are we part of the 20%? Oh, heck yes, you're part of the 20%. For just being here, you're part of the 20%. I mean, come on. I mean, you want to be excellent. You want to be I tell my children this all the time. It doesn't take much to be spectacular in life. I mean, you think about it. Show up on time, do what you say, all that. I need to get some feedback. I got one more note for you to take that popped in my head. If you are on a committee, let's say you're a brand new agent and you get on the education committee, or you've been around a while and you get on public relations, whatever committee you get on, that is a commitment and people are watching. So you say, oh yes, I'll be there in the January education meeting. You're there on time. I'm a great person. And then February, you're there on time. And March, well, I was busy that day. And April, you didn't show up. And May, you didn't show up either. I was on vacation in June. And I came to July. Well, how can we turn your talent into performance if you don't perform, if you don't show up? People are watching. And that's part of this excellence. If you commit to working on one of these committees, be there. And if you're not going to commit, don't do it, because it's a comment. It's a commitment. I need some feedback. I'll have something to clear my throat here, a little tea. Any questions about your role as a committee member or a board member or the president or vice president or whatever job you may be holding or would like to hold in the future? Any questions about, Robert's Rules of Order, or how committees run, or any questions? Come on, get off the phone, talk to me. Come on, talk to me. Plug in, here we go. Did I lose everybody? Come on. Tell me something. Tell me hi. Tell me you're there. Hello. Sony. Hey, Sony. We're here. Okay. Thinking too hard to formulate an intelligent. I can always count on Michael Frederickson to get me with something like that. I'm thinking too hard to formulate an intelligent question. I like that. Well, Amy says, it's good to hear how the association board work together and separately in taking their tasks. I like that. John Easterling, hey, how are you doing? I'm curious as to why oh, I love this. Elizabeth Belk says, I'm curious as to why not more members of our association are involved in these classes. I'm just curious. Well, Elizabeth, think about the 80-20 rule. It's actually a 90-10 rule. 90% of the agents sell 10% of the property, while 10% of the agents sell 90% of the property. It's to be a leader is a rare thing. To be willing to lead is even more rare. So I come back to, it's not very hard to be spectacular in the real estate industry. You just have to do a little more. Jason says, what are some of the commitments to state and national level from the local? Hey, now we're moving on up. What you'll discover is our representatives from your local association then travel to the state board of directors to make decisions on behalf of the state association. There's 135 directors from around the state. Each board, each association has directors that funnel up to the state level, and they make decisions on the state level. It's a separate and different organization, but dramatically linked to us because we are all in the same association. When I started this, they talked about the three-legged stool, a little stool that has three legs, which would be the local association, the state association, and then the national association. So from the state level, there are people who represent the state of North Carolina, Realtors Association, at the national level. And at the state level, there's an education committee, public relations, contracts, there's just all sorts of stuff. And then when you hit the national, oh my God, you can have all the fun up there you want, but it's a winnowing process. You got to be good at your local level to move up to the state level, got to be good at the state level to move up to the national level. So great question. And yes, Jason, the higher you go, the more you learn about everything. Charleston says, you haven't left us with anything to question. You laid out the framework for any business to be successful. Wow. Charleston, I did good. Oh, I got more messages down there. Let's see. Wonderful information from Robin Pond. How many people are on today? I've got 30. Oh, Jeremy says, this is the information that I've been looking for. Cool. Helen says, I appreciated your emphasis on partnering with the community and town we are in to promote workforce development, opportunities, and jobs. Daggone right. Darlene says, get session and very thought-provoking. I hope that was great session. Leaders are amazing. Some just don't know how to do it. Yes, we want you here. And I got news for you. People like Darlene, who runs her association in New Bern, and me, and whoever's running your local association, they will help you get into leadership because we need more leaders. Most informative information to date. I've actually learned more in 2 hours than any other educational training. Well, yeah, welcome to the day. Thank you, Tammy. Is that Tammy Berry? Eva says, I don't have any questions, soaking up all the information you're willing to give. Appreciate you taking the time. Liked a bit about having the seat at the table with your local government. Ben says, I think that's a place where real change can happen. Let me just please invite you all, if you have any interest in any form of getting involved in the planning commission in your town, the city council, education, whatever it is, we need realtors at that table. Tammy says, having a warm, fuzzy feeling about our board, so much talent on the Washington. Yes, Washington, Beaufort, love it. How many people in that association? I'm not sure what association that is. Elizabeth says, I feel like this is a master class. Oh, Elizabeth, there's over 2,000 agents in our MLS, and yes, they should all be here. Would y'all like a little bit more in leadership? I think you're ready for it. 20 minutes, we'll do it. Let's, somebody's in the question box. Let me do just a little bit more in leadership. When you're in leadership, it's your job to notice trends and to notice them early. If you're running a business, you all are running a business, you're independent contractors, you realize that real estate is the largest small business incubator on the planet, 1.4 million realtors. Leaders notice the trends early. And when we talk about trends, I always talk about Dr. Singhi, who worked at MIT, and he's a trends expert, or was. And he used the example of a lily pond. He said, think about this. Every morning you get up and go on your morning constitutional, your morning walk. And every morning you pass a little pond. And in the back left-hand corner, way back there in the back, there's one lily pad. On the very first day when you walk through, there's one lily pad. Now what we know is lily pads double every day. So on the second day, there are 2. And on the next day, there are 4. And then there are 8, and then 16, and then 32, and then 64, and 128. And I'm going to stop because I can't count any higher. You get the picture. Professor Singhi says, think of trends like you think of lily pads. They double every day. On the first day you walk by this pond, there's only one lily pad. It's way back there in the corner. One little pad. You're not going to notice that. But as the trend grows, the lily pads begin to fill the lake. So let's assume that on day 1, there's one lily pad. But on day 30, the entire surface of the entire lake is covered. You with me? Lily pads double every day. So on the 29th day, only half the lake is covered. On the 28th day, a quarter of the lake is covered. On the 27th day, an eighth of the lake is covered. You with me? You see the trend here? Professor Singhi says, when would you notice the lily pad trend? You're walking by this lake every day. Lily pads double every day. When would you notice the trend? Here, I'll stop. Y'all can vote. When would you notice the trend? When would you notice? Now, the 30th day, the whole lake's covered. 29th day, half the lake's covered. 28th day, a quarter of the lake. When would you notice? Michael says day 2. There's only 2 little lily pads. They're in the way back there in the corner. What day would you notice? Professor Singhi says, USA Today would report the lily pad trend on day 28. 28. So the lily pad trend that USA Today has reported on has actually been going on for a long time. Now, here's your job as a leader. Your job is to notice this trend before the 28th day, to pay attention to the lily pad trend or the housing trend, and then bring it to the attention of other leaders or your committee or whoever. I'll give you an example. In the summer of 2006, the summer of 2006, USA Today, I went to the local post office, and the headline in USA Today said, you can buy housing futures in Miami Beach. We are building skyscrapers filled with housing. People are buying them for $400,000, and before they're completed, they're selling them for $800,000. You can make a fortune by buying a condo in in Miami Beach and selling it before it's finished. And I thought, whoop, we are about to implode in the housing business. And it wasn't 90 days later, the entire structure of the real estate world came apart. That's noticing trends. A little bit earlier, your job as a leader is to pay attention to the trends. And trends are everywhere. And you can learn them by reading. But here's the cool part. It's easy to be successful when you get in front of the inevitable. It's easy to be successful when you get in front of what's coming. The world, I mean, I've already told you this morning, my belief is, and the research shows, that the housing industry is going to explode until we run out of housing. And then the price of housing is going up. So whatever you own, whatever your clients buy, whatever you invest, it's going up. Now, it's easy to be successful when you get in front of the inevitable if you can see the trends. Greatest way to see the trends is read. I've got a book over there written by the owners of Zillow. They published it 3 or 4 years ago. They told you what they were going to do, take over the world. Oh, it's no secret. They wrote it in a book. The National Association of Realtors produces research every year. Go to nar.realtor, click on research, and you should have 2 documents. One is the profile of real estate agents, which surveys our industry and tells us how much money we make and how old we are and how long we've been in the business. Especially if you're in leadership, we should know our membership. And the other one is the profile of home buyers and sellers. NAR.Realtor, National Association of Realtors. TJ Doyle is the head of the research department at the National Association of Realtors. And his department spends $15 million a year producing fabulous research, which nobody reads. Nobody. I ain't got time. I don't think you have time not to read it. There are research on second home markets, millennial buyers, retirement buyers. They have research on everything to do with real estate, but you got to read it. Let me give you something else to think about. Leaders have to be going somewhere. You can't lead other people standing still. You got to be moving. You got to be going. And that going means a path, which brings us right back to leaders create the vision. Managers turn talent into performance. If you're going to be in leadership, you got to be going somewhere. Leadership is truly the ability to rally people, not for a single event, but for the entire journey. There are some projects that your association has that are going to take years to put together. Well, are you in for that? Because if you're not, well, that's not your role as a leader. We got to rally everybody, not for one little pop, but for the entire journey. And the journey involves a business plan. And I love that the National Association of Realtors requires us now to have a strategic plan for our association, but their guidance is, quite frankly, awful because they're stuck in a planning world from 30 years ago. I'm going to give you the 4 simple questions you need to answer to create any business plan, association plan. Every committee ought to be asking these 4 questions when anything hits the table. Here's your first one. Where are we? My next door neighbor is that guy that you see in the movies. He is a colonel or lieutenant colonel in the U.S. Special Forces, Delta Force, those kind of people. And he told me one day in the yard, he said, Zan, when they drop me out of an airplane over some foreign country in the middle of the night, usually in a rainstorm, and I land on the earth, my first mission is to determine where I am, because you cannot succeed at your mission until you know where you are. That's your first question. Here's your second question. Where do you want to go? Where are you going? We're here. Where do we want to go? We've done this many educational events this year. We want to do that next year. We did this much PR work. We want to do that next year. Our grounds and committee did this last year. We're going to do that next year. Where are you going to go? Those 2 questions, Very simple. Here comes the complex question, and this is the crucial one. You don't move forward without the answer to number 3. You ready? Why? Why? Why do you want to do that? Why? And there needs to be somebody on every committee that goes, time out, why? Oh, we're going to do, oh, this will be so great. Why? Why? Oh, we don't like you on our committee because you're forever asking why. You're making, well, without a why, you're never going to get there. Your why has to be big enough to drive this entire train. And without a why, well, when I look past my camera, I'm looking out my window. There's a 6-foot fence that runs down the side of our property. It's falling down. It belongs to the homeowners on the other side of the parking lot. They don't even know they own it. It looks terrible. We have a board meeting in a couple of weeks. They get to decide if they want to replace that fence. Now the why is, well, it's gonna fall down. That's a pretty good why. Maybe it can last a little longer. Maybe we could patch it together. Then our why changes. But you've got to know your why. And then the last question is how. Folks, this is the easy one. How? Once you know where you are and where you're going, how gets real simple. Speaking of how, let me ask you something. Have you learned anything good this morning? Have you learned anything that will help you be a better agent, owner, or leader this morning? And if you have, here's your homework. Pick up the phone, call your local association. Ask what you can do. What kind of committees can I get on? Now, it may be January before the New Year's, and we're doing elections now, or I think because some of y'all have already done elections, we're forming committees. Get involved. Show up. Lend your expertise. We need you. I need you to give me some feedback here. Has it been a good day? Have you learned some good stuff? Do you have any questions? If not, we got about 9 minutes left, and I'm a stickler for if we start at, if we say 11, we mean 11. So ask not what my association can do for me, but what can I do for my association? John F. Kennedy. I love it. Good stuff. Let's see, what other questions do we have here? As leaders, we need to make the research known. I agree completely. Elizabeth Belk, I'm time blocking classes offered by Zan. Good class. Yes. Elizabeth is one of our Realtor champions. And Elizabeth, come to think of it, do we have you on a committee for next year? Because if not, we need to get you on something. Great information, good class, cool. If you have no questions, I'm done with you for the day. I'll stop the recording, and